Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the At the Table podcast. I'm Luis.
I'm Shay.
And this is our second guest episode. We have
Clay.
And Megan.
Yay. The Lemons. They are
Shout out.
married.
the Lemon.
The Lemon family. And we have Thor, so if you hear some meowing.
Yeah.
Today, we are just going to be touching on young adult marriage. They're heading into parenthood very soon. And yeah. Do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Clay, Megan's husband, baby father. That's all I am.
Anything like a little bit of your testimony?
Oh yeah. So I'm a Christian.
Yeah, I would hope so.
I got saved when I was 5 years old. In England, my dad is military, so we move around. We used to move around a lot, and moved all around. Was up in Alaska, got the call, "Hey, need you in the old AZ." Then moved here, found Megan, and now life is bliss. So that's basically my whole life summed up.
Okay.
I'm Megan. I'm Clay's wife. That's really all there is
Gosh, that
to
sounds
me.
nice.
I've been a believer since probably the same, like early school age. But yeah, I went to church my whole life. I say I grew up like in a half Christian household, because with divorced parents, it was like half the time I was being raised in the church, half the time I wasn't.
Right.
But I loved the God part of my life, and I'm going to be so breathless in this too, because I feel like I can't finish sentences. What was I saying? I love the God part of my life, and I feel like the Lord really took a hold of my heart through my mom's cancer journey and eventually her passing. Just making the Lord the reason for my entire being, and not just a part of my life that I enjoyed. So from there on out, God really sparked my heart to just solely live for Him and in light of His kingdom on a daily basis. So that would have been like late 2021 that I think that big shift really happened in my heart and faith. So I've just been rolling with Jesus ever since then. A lot of changes. I did not see myself where I'm at right now. Like, I think marriage and kids is something I always wanted, but I think it feels so far away until like the Lord just makes it happen. So super excited for the season we're in and the season we're entering into here soon with our tweens.
The Lemon Boys.
Clay Jr. and Clay the Third.
Okay. The second and third.
Yeah.
Okay. What's been going on? What's been on your heart lately? What's new?
Yeah.
Random topic.
Is it like something we've been enjoying, or
Yeah.
Just anything.
anything.
Yeah,
Anything.
literally anything
Yeah.
you want to talk about.
literally anything? Been thinking a lot about what living in Germany would look like.
Right.
I haven't. I've been thinking about what living in Arizona is continuing to feel like. It feels pretty good.
Except for
Yeah,
the
I
summer.
just can get on random trains of thought sometimes. And yeah, recently it's been, what if we lived in Europe? And
Yeah.
what would that look like raising our kids out over there? So
Probably really cool.
there's my topic.
I mean,
that would be cool.
I talked about that a lot, especially like in the first season, about like what it would be like to like move back to Europe. Especially because I really liked it there. I mean, it was cool. School was good, you know. So like, they have a really good education system, especially in like Germany, Norway, and stuff like that. And I thought about it, but getting a visa and stuff just seems like so unrealistic for me.
It's a difficult process.
Yeah, it really is. It takes
Just
like
don't get a visa.
Yeah, just live there illegally.
Yeah.
No,
People
'cause
do that all
I
the
can't-
time.
I wouldn't be able to work.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So
Cut that out.
Yeah, they have good health care and maternity leave over there too.
Yeah. I think the whole lifestyle in and of itself, like, I just am so intrigued by the, like, just the way of life and how it's just a lot more walking. People are a lot more well versed in their travel because the countries are just so squished together. Like,
Yeah.
people just, you know, travel all over the place. And of course, they're like food and product regulation is a
Yeah.
lot better than ours.
yeah,
That's true.
definitely.
But yeah, who knows? I have been
Maybe one day.
prophesied that I will be a doctor in Italy by one of my patients
Oh,
Okay.
when I worked inpatient. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see if that was actually from the Lord.
yeah, you never know. I mean, I know I talked about this in like a couple episodes ago, but maybe. But if you have any sort of lineage from Italy, you qualify for their visa. Like you could become a citizen that
Yeah,
way.
yeah. I think my grandma, because her side, some people are from Malta, and so my grandparents were each the first one over here. My grandma's side being the side from Malta, and then my grandpa's side from Sicily.
Mhm.
On my mom's side, the family. And yeah, I remember her bringing up before that. I don't know if it was because we were in a certain generation, like if you're X amount of generations out, you qualify for citizenship, but they really want people over there.
Yeah.
And I want to be over there. So
Yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah.
it's a good match.
I remember when I went, I was still eating kind of like the way I eat now, and I lost like 25 pounds in like
Yeah.
a month. And I was like, dude, there's no way.
The same food made you lose 25
Like I was
pounds?
still eating like fast food. Like I was
It's
still
just
eating like quote
healthier
unquote.
over there?
Yeah, because
Better
of like
quality.
no additives and stuff like that. Like they're not allowed to like add chemicals into anything. So it's like everything's actually like what would you call it? Like quote unquote organic. You know, like when I was over there, you have to buy groceries like every week. You don't buy at like a Costco.
Yeah.
And stuff sits for a month. Like stuff will go bad after a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like-
Nothing's overly preserved.
Yeah, no. Which I think is super cool.
Yeah.
And then you spend less money on groceries. Everything's
That's true.
way cheaper. I think I saw a video about Germany not that long ago, and like stuff like dental care, feminine products, toilet paper and stuff like that. It's like 60 cents for everything.
Right.
I was like, bro, what are we doing?
It's a dream.
Yeah.
It's like Costco. Dude,
Right.
ate there last night. $12.
We did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
You could eat 2 hot dogs and get a soda, and I think it's like $3.
Literally.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor, of course.
No,
Not
we're
yet.
not sponsored by Costco. I don't think we ever will be.
Well, we'll
Costco,
see.
hit us up. You know, it'd be nice if you did. Get a free membership. Just shout you guys out every episode.
Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Costco.
Yeah. No, yeah.
In our
It is.
dreams.
Yeah, literally. It'd be a dream.
I love Costco.
All right. Anybody else? Anything else?
No.
All right. All right. Let's jump into this. First question. What does becoming who God is calling you to be look like in this season of your life, individually and as a couple?
Mind you, we did not prepare answers in advance for these, so this is all Holy Spirit, hopefully. Please, Jesus. You go first, babe.
Let me get that question one more time.
Do you want me to go
So,
first?
what does becoming who God is calling you to be look like in this season of your life, individually and as a couple?
I think right now it's Megan's turn to talk about it.
Yeah, you got nothing right now?
I need to
Okay.
think about that.
I'll yap and get your juices flowing. Something that a mentor of mine that you may have already heard of on here already, Claire, may or may not, has emphasized to me in multiple seasons, that just feels like it becomes more and more true, is that becoming the person God wants me to be has so much more to do with my heart than it does like my position, like where I'm living at, what job I'm working at, anything like that. whereas before I think I would probably place a lot more emphasis on those things and really emphasize like to become who God needs me to be. I need to be in this program or doing this specific thing or in this specific place. Whereas I feel like the Lord just keeps teaching me more about it being about my heart and my obedience to him. And I feel like in this season, it looks a lot like being obedient to him at the job that I'm currently at, even though it's not necessarily like where I would envision myself long term.
Right.
I am, to give context, working as a nurse in a women's clinic right now, which I've had a heart for women's. I'm so out of breath, sorry.
It's all right. You got this.
Women's ministry and women's medicine for a while, and have just been, going back and forth with the Lord for probably years now and like what he would want that to look like. And I mainly support like the surgical population there, which I have a lot larger of a passion for like birth and labor, delivery, like that whole world, but just haven't been able to get a job in that area yet. So I feel like just being obedient there and actually finding more of my identity like in Christ than I do in that job. But I find it hard, like in our society, there's a big temptation to put a lot of identity like in your profession and in what you do, more than I feel like in other places. So that's just something I feel like the Lord's been teaching me. But yeah, I feel like overall, it's just been a lot about focusing on where my heart is at and, just being obedient to the Lord wherever he has me, not necessarily emphasizing the external things as much.
Right.
For me, I think individually, what God has called me to be recently, a husband and a father. So I think when it comes to that, just being a good spiritual leader for my wife and future kids, and being a provider for them financially, or I guess emotionally as well, for Megan right now. So yeah, just doing what I can to be a hard worker and help out the most I can with Megan is how, that's what I feel like I'm called to right now. The most. And I think as a couple, probably just, it's hard to know like what I think specifically we're being called to as a couple. Most of the time, I think it's kind of like we pray for God's provision and God's guidance, and then he kind of just moves us in the way that he wants. So, I think just being prayerful and being open to what he has is kind of what me and Megan do. I don't know. It's hard. I don't know what he's specifically calling us. Besides parents right now, but
Yeah.
What about as a couple?
I think as a couple, I don't think we need to understand like our lifelong calling as a couple right now.
Right.
So that's okay.
okay, that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I'm
so-
trying to
yeah.
figure it all out.
So the
right
question the question is for currently,
But-
no, don't think about too much about the future, just like right now.
now. Okay.
I think, yeah, you're exactly right. Like the Lord is calling us to parenthood, to disciple a new generation, to be in love with him and want to live for him and love the gospel. I see that, individually and as a couple, just the ministry of family and letting that be enough, I guess, like in a culture that is just, very fast paced, very ministry looks like so many things, like even personally having prayed through and thought through like going to ministry like programs and thinking that that's the only way ministry works, is going and doing it vocationally, and God
Right.
like really keeping me back for the season I've been in, the past couple years of working as a nurse, of entering the role as a wife and seeing like, oh man, like this is ministry, like serving my husband is ministry, and faithfully working and caring for patients. And so just letting God be creative with that. But yeah, I definitely feel the Lord calling us to really emphasize our marriage and our family as our ministry, and like letting him use that to make his name known and show people who he is, and not making it seem like it has to be anything else, but really putting allowing the Lord to use those things in a powerful way and not just undermining them. It's like, oh yeah, these are kind of side parts of my life, but ministry is over here. But no, like really inviting God into those areas too.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I kind of think that you guys are like, not to like toot your guys' horn, but I feel like you guys are really good at that already.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like even when I was in YA and stuff like that, I felt like you guys were kind of the people that everybody else who's around in young adults kind of like looked at as a figure of what it looks like to be, a couple and married, with God being at the center of it all, and everything like that, like, which is kind of like what you want, especially like for somebody who's young, and especially for the younger people in YA. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts and stuff like that about like what you want in your friends, especially when you're in the season of wanting to find a partner. You want to be friends with somebody who is good at showing what it's like to be married and be in a relationship and having God in the center of it all, and stuff like that, and being just very disciplined about God's obedience, when it is stepping into, getting married, buying a home, having kids, and stuff like that. So
yeah, and I mean that ultimately is the goal, like of marriage, is that the two is better than one, and that we would make Christ more known as a unit than we would individually. And it's something the Lord really, emphasized in my heart going into marriage, and even thereafter, just constantly reorienting me to that truth in moments when something might come up in my heart where, say Clay's not perfectly meeting my every need and satisfying me and making me happy all the time, and I feel this offense rising in me. The Lord will quiet that with that truth of, this isn't for your happiness. Ultimately it will make you happy many, many times, but just the different lies that the world can put around us, even being a young married couple in the church, it's like the lies of the world will still want to creep in and define your marriage and define why you're married, and all those sorts of things. But the goal ultimately is that to make Christ more known together than we would apart.
Right.
But I think it looks a lot different than I thought it would, because that sounds great until like someone starts exposing these like really deep flaws in you, and like uprooting this pride you didn't know was there, and just like kindly letting the Lord bring you through that process with so much grace. But yeah.
Question number 2. Marriage in your 20s can be both beautiful and stretching. What has God taught you about himself through your marriage so far?
About himself. I think he's taught me about him that I think just like what a perfect like for me as the man, the perfect example is like the perfect father, the perfect companion, the most gentle, you know, like authority, but still gentle and still caring and will listen and not quick to, you know, be mad when whatever. Just, yeah, for me specific, just a really good role model. I mean, the best role model of what I'm called to be as a husband.
Right.
So.
Right.
I feel like mine is like a exact opposite, like reflection of that, as you, like, you're seeing the Lord as like this is the example I am to follow. And I feel like the main thing that God showed me about himself, like being married to like you specifically, is just like the, like how the Lord loves me. I've seen, like, he's shown me that through you, and like the gentleness of his love and the consistency of his love and the like tangibility of his forgiveness. And honestly, just like his lightheartedness, in times when like I can just, you know, default to being a little more like, I don't want to say serious or deep or, you know, complicated or something, but I feel like the Lord's just shown me like just his like lighthearted, consistent, safe love, like through being married to you. I've seen a lot more of like just how God loves.
Yeah, and it's really beautiful to see just like the sanctification process through both of your lives. And especially because I knew you both like individually before you got married. And so being able to see how the Lord has walked through with you guys to where you're at now, it's just really cool to see. And it's so beautiful to see like the evidence of God's love between you guys and your union. It's really cool.
Yeah, I didn't know you guys before, so I met you guys when you guys were already married.
Yeah, I was a totally different person. 180.
Yeah, which I mean is a good thing ultimately.
I guess.
Obviously,
Yeah.
I guess.
I would say so.
I would say it is.
Yeah. I met you guys in February. When did you guys get married?
January,
So you guys were like a month into your marriage.
right?
Yeah, I mean, specifically kind of like seeing both of your guys' growth in the span of, how long has it been? March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November.
Yeah.
9 months. You know, I think it's just really cool to see the way you guys have grown. And from the day we met, I mean, I've talked about it before in past episodes, but like the way you guys kind of just took me in, you know, like made me a part of the family like really quickly. I mean, it took maybe 2 weeks of knowing each other for you guys to be like, oh, hey, like you should come over to the house, you know, like we want to spend more time with you. And especially in that season where I was like,
Yeah, and you kept saying no. You're like, dude, leave me alone. I was like, dude, come on.
well, I mean, I was saying no because of like, I mean, I was like struggling at my job, and then, you know, I ultimately quit because I just wasn't not enjoying life. I was broke for a really long time. From that, like, I think it was from like from like April to June, you know, I didn't have any money, and like you guys kept inviting me out, and I was like, dude, I have no money to spend, you know, like all this money's going to my car, and then I wasted all my savings on trying to keep my car. But you know, like you made it very clear that like it wasn't about like a monetary thing, you know, you just enjoyed having my company, and like, you know, letting it be known that you guys enjoyed the friendship, you know, and kind of like the relationship that was kind of like it was transpiring into. And you know, I think that right there was kind of like showing me what it truly means to like be friends in Christ, you know, and like what friendship should look like, maybe to a certain extent, you know, because like I would call it a perfect friendship, but you know, like I mean, you know, nobody's perfect, you know, and stuff like that, but that's kind of what I would call it. it's just really cool to see kind of like how everything has worked out, and then seeing you guys go from like, you know, your apartment to a house, and then like you guys are having kids and stuff like that. I just think it's really cool. I mean, it hasn't been a long time, but it's felt like I've known you guys for years.
We constantly are like looking at each other like, are we actually married? Like, are we actually like bought a house? Like, just things that, like I said, you think about and they feel so far away, or you envision them a certain way, and then God does it.
Right.
And we talked about that even like through our dating, engagement, and marriage. Like, I feel like a big part of our vows was just like reflecting on that and like, how did we get here? Because it felt like it was with such ease.
Yeah.
You know, although it's like hard to explain because you say it's with ease, but it's like there is that that difficulty of like, we're both two imperfect people, and that causes like conflict, and it causes the sanctification, and but like God brings an ease to things, even through any challenges. And I just remember us both feeling that way getting married, of like, how did we end up here? Like, I was coming off of like a very bad long-term breakup, and just so many failed situationships, and like so heartbroken. And I felt like God brought me from like that low, dark place to like the blessing in like the blink of an eye. Like, I couldn't believe what he had done, and it was so evident that it was him that did it, because up to me, I knew where I would end up, like looking for my worth in all the wrong places, and settling for bare minimum just because you just don't want to be alone. But we've just both been so amazed at really how God like honors your yes, and honors doing things his way. I feel like God has highlighted that to me a couple times when I guess going from that place of disobedience to obedience, and just seeing him honor it, like how quick he's ready to honor it. And yeah, it's incredible, and we found ourselves just so in awe of what the Lord has done in our life, like this year, and you know, just before that. But
yeah, I think it's also just like it's very cool, because I mean, I feel like when you are a young adult who is a Christian and you're single, you get so much fear kind of like for the lack of better words, like injected into you about marriage and stuff like that, especially when you're dating somebody. You know, like, oh, it's not, you know, like it doesn't get easier when you're married, or you know, like it's not a field of flowers and sunshine and butterflies, you know, like, but I feel like you guys have, or at least I've seen it, of like the beauty of what it is, even in tough moments, from being so close to you guys, even for such a short amount of time, is like understanding what that looks like. Is like, even when time gets tough, you guys have been so easy to, you know, allow the Lord to be in control of everything, and to see where that obedience has led you guys to like being where you were before I met you, and you know, hearing about it, but like seeing where you guys are now. It's just like, it's kind of like, you know, like an inspiration, you know, like I feel like that's kind of what it's taught a lot of people, not only myself, but like just the other people who know you guys, is like this is exactly what you would want to see in a Christian marriage. You know, like even in moments, you know, where they're tough, or the moments you guys go through behind closed doors that not everybody gets to see, you know, it shows the growth in staying in that obedience. And I feel like, especially for myself, obviously I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but like for me, you guys have kind of like removed that fear, you know, because like for me also, like coming out of a, you know, like a bad engagement, and then, you know, calling the engagement off, and then spending these last 5 years, almost 5 years of my life in singleness and stuff like that, like for the first, I don't know, honestly, for most of it, like not including the last 9 months, it was like I was scared of committing. I was scared of wanting to get married. I was scared of wanting to have kids and stuff like that. And then meeting you guys and meeting people like Claire and Dan, you know, and Woody and his wife, and Tyler and his wife, you know, and stuff like that, and kind of seeing what it truly is to, you know, what it means to be married in Christ. I think it's just like removed that fear for me. Like, yeah, I know there's going to be hard times, but, you know, kind of putting that obedience in the Lord and just allowing him to be in control just made everything so much easier for me to be like, you know what, like I should pray for these things. You know, like this isn't something I should be scared to jump into, even if it takes me 2 years of dating somebody to get married, or, you know, a month, you know, ring by spring or whatever, you know, but just kind of jumping into that season of my life, like I shouldn't be scared. It's just allowing him to be in control is genuinely will, like your guys' relationships have all taught me, even though like my whole entire life after coming to Christ has been like, yeah, you know, like the everything that they told me was like, wow, I'm supposed to be scared about all these things. Yeah. But in reality, it's not. So
yeah. I think the enemy wants to put so much fear around it, like from whatever the fear is. If it's like you're saying, like a fear of commitment, or for me, like I think it was a lot of like relationship anxiety from the past of like being hurt, putting trust in people for that to be misused. Just created so much anxiety about picking somebody and like trusting somebody. And I feel like it is a very large way that the enemy keeps people away from the things that the Lord calls us to. Not to say that everyone, you know, is to get married and have kids. Like the Bible is very clear, like one person gets this gift, another person that gift. But I think in a general sense, culturally,
right.
You know, people not wanting to walk in these blessings that God says are exactly that, because of so much fear and worry that the enemy would place around it, just to keep people out of it and thinking that the liberation from being single is so much better and you know, whatever that would be. But I feel like that's a huge part of my testimony now, you know, deciding to pursue marriage with Clay and like let the Lord heal my heart in that way, and really want to instill that in other women, in terms of where I was coming from with the fears, because it seemed to be that a lot of people were feeling that way and we weren't talking about it until I started connecting with other engaged friends or friends that were in serious dating relationships, and it would like come up over our coffee dates of like, oh, this is so like, I don't want to say anxiety writhing, but just for women, sometimes we want to really ensure we're in God's will for our life. And it's like a heart posture of wanting to be obedient, but it's to the point where the enemy can just really use that against us and keep us like paralyzed almost, and not choose to move forward in marriage and with certain people because you see a flaw and you think to yourself, like, does that mean he's not like my husband? Because husbands are supposed to be spiritual leaders and I'm seeing this flaw. And where's the line was something that I talked about with so many women of like, where's the line between an imperfect person and a no, this sin is not okay? Or there's just like so much in that. But I feel like it's so important for not only women to talk about, but I mean, it's important for both sides. I only know it from this perspective. Right. But just for women to talk about that, or else I do see the enemy keeping so many women paralyzed in like, well, I don't want to make the wrong decision, so I'm not going to decide at all. Where I've seen God really honor the ways that I was anxious and worried about taking a wrong step and just letting the Lord speak into me and over me, like, of, you know, where's my heart? Where's his heart? Are you guys willing to pursue me together? Like, if these are all yeses and like you just enjoy each other, like what's stopping you, kind of thing. And kind of like simplifying it in a way. But yeah, the enemy can really have a grip on people in a lot of ways when it comes to marriage, and then even with kids. Like I've been the type of person that would say like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to be a mom, I've always wanted to have kids. And I feel like it wasn't until becoming pregnant that like more of those fears uprooted, where I was like, wait, like, is this going to completely take all my freedom? And just, I feel like that's when all the fears kind of came in of what the world would say about it, and the ways that the enemy would stop people from walking into that blessing of like, well, this is going to ruin you. It's going to ruin your body physically. It's going to consume you for the rest of your life. It's going to ruin your marriage. Like your relationship's never going to be the same. Right. And I feel like I didn't realize that those were even in me until pregnancy was what we were walking in. And so like letting God heal and undo those things has been like a second wave of what I would say like is healing and restoration, of just letting God write these narratives in my heart of like, what do you say about marriage? What do you say about children? Because without constantly reorienting our minds to those truths, it's just so easy to let the world define it. And to think of it the way that the world thinks of it. Which I don't think our world thinks these things are blessings. Right. It's like, avoid them at all costs for as long as possible. And it's so sad because it is the enemy intentionally keeping people out of such life and such blessing. So yeah, I mean, it even talks about it in Proverbs 18:22. You know, it says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So I mean, for me, you know, like that kind of really sparked into my brain as we were talking you know, about this. Is like, that was the one verse that I remember reading, and it was like, wow, like I really shouldn't be scared, or realistically nobody should be scared about, you know, kind of like wanting to be in the season of marriage and stuff like that, because it's like right there alone we're being told like you know, getting married is a blessing. You know, it's like you said, you know, like it's something that you know, with like the way the world is right now in society, like people are always telling you like, no, you have to wait to get married until later down the road, and like maybe you shouldn't have kids, you can't afford it and stuff like that. But when you really are in relationship with Christ and you put everything in his control, you really start to understand how things genuinely do work out. Even in a time where like we live, you know, where like house market is kind of high, you know, like groceries are expensive and stuff like that, but there's a reason as to why we start seeing these things as like it's really something that we shouldn't be afraid of, because at the end of the day, the Lord is going to bless in however he blesses, you know, like he's going to make it work out, especially when you have that obedience towards him. So
yeah, it's beautiful to see, because we always know like the Lord will provide no matter what. And so having that assurance of like stepping into a next chapter of your life, as scary as it may be, or how much the world tells you it's an awful thing, there's always just like a quiet confidence that you know for a fact that the Lord is already before you, paving the way for it to be exactly how he imagined it and exactly how he is planning it for your life. And I mean, especially like you guys probably weren't expecting twins, and like everything is working out.
Not at all.
and that was like a huge surprise, and make kind of probably spark some fear in the beginning, but ultimately it's step by step. The Lord is just having it all prepared for you. And
sorry.
No, you're good. No. I was just going to say, to kind of bounce off that fear aspect as well. For me, at least, like coming off my engagement, my biggest fear was like having to start over. And, you know, being like, I always said like so close to the finish line. And then either it was during a podcast or I was talking to Claire or someone, and they reminded me like marriage isn't the finish line. Like being wedded to someone isn't the end of that journey. It's really just the beginning of a lifelong sanctification process. And so that is kind of what helped remove my fear in that part of it is, you know, like, how awful is it almost to have to like start over and try again, and like now I have to learn someone's favorite color all over again, and it felt kind of like going backwards for a little bit. But even just through like the past year, and I remember when we had gone to Brave Love, and we were talking a lot about like marriage, and this was before you guys got married, so it was kind of like that build up of it. And just being friends with you and knowing your journey with it, it's been really inspiring for me, at least, that like starting over isn't a bad thing. And being afraid to start over is kind of like cutting off God's blessings before you can even try them. Mm-hmm. So just in that same aspect of fear, like I feel like that's another way the enemy tries to like control you, is saying like, no, you can't start over. Like it's too late almost, which is obviously not true, but
definitely not true.
Yeah.
I definitely hear what you're saying though. And I feel like that was definitely in my heart too, like in the restarting and figuring out who I was on my own. Mm-hmm. And in the season of life I now found myself in, like just so much new, so much to kind of like pioneer, I guess, with the Lord. Obviously trying to do it more of my way at the beginning, and mm-hmm. not under like surrender to him. And it is so funny because I feel like things that people had said to me during that time that I didn't really want to take as true kind of is what came to pass, of like, well, surrender to the Lord and like he'll make it happen. And I think I constantly was like just white knuckling it, and I really couldn't let it go and give it over to the Lord, or I thought I was. But just all the things people are saying of, you know, well, it'll happen when you least expect it, and all that stuff that I hated hearing. So annoying.
Yeah, I still hate hearing that, dude. It's such an annoying thing to hear.
I find myself exhausted from trying to do it the way that I was doing it, and just non-committal guys and passive guys, wishy-washiness, all the things, and just feeling so exhausted, to where I finally let it go and gave it over to the Lord, mm-hmm. just to meet Clay like months later.
Right.
Yeah. And it was like, wow, how long was I delaying this blessing? Mm-hmm. How long was, even if we were to have met the same exact time, just delaying the fruit of peace in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and the fruit of whatever the Lord could have grown during that time, instead of just trying to chase me down. And you know, like I think it's something I have such a passion for now, with when I'm talking to, I guess, younger women especially, and can empathize with where they might find themselves at, like wanting to just kind of settle with a certain guy, or like stay in that disobedience because it's just hard to mm-hmm. do it God's way, but like truly being able to come out on the other side of it and be like, wow, I wish I just would have done it God's way. Yeah. Like he kind of knows what he's talking about. And as hard as it would have been to just be completely on my own for that whole season instead of just like the last half of it, it's like, mm-hmm. man, what else could have God done in my heart, instead of just you know, me needing the Lord for to repent, and like, oh, you know, like just coming to him with my weariness. It's like, what fruit could have grown instead in that period, mm-hmm. that I was just delaying because I was being disobedient and impatient. But there was so much fear of like, I need to make this happen or it's not going to, like, you know. And I feel like I kept envisioning like this horizon, and the fact that I saw like absolutely nobody was like such a terror to me, because I'm like, well, if I at least saw someone, then I could mm-hmm. chill, and mm-hmm. I could be like, okay, it's far away, but I know it's coming. But God was like, that's not faith,
right?
Yeah, it's
like
not, yeah.
you need to you're literally telling me you need to see it in order to have the peace. But he's like, I'm asking you to have the peace and trust in me without seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, boom, here he pops up, and like literally out of nowhere. And then we're engaged 6 months later because we wanted to.
Yeah, ultimately.
But yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, I still remember that day when you came up to me and you're like, hey, so it might not just be one baby. and I remember you kind of like freaking out and stuff like that, and we went outside of the apartment, you know, and we started kind of talking about it, and just like kind of seeing from that moment on like your true understanding of what it is to like kind of step into the, you know, into obedience and just letting the Lord control things the way he has, because, you know, knowing you're a person who likes to be in control so much. So it's like
a little bit.
so it's like seeing how you've grown in that area has been huge, especially with all the conversations we have and how much time we spend together, you know, and stuff. I get to see that every day I see you. So
versus when Megan told me and Jade about the twins, we were like screaming, jumping up and down, so
Yeah.
excited.
yeah. Yeah, I was excited too. I definitely was. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, well, it better be a long marriage, you know, because there's a lot of that growth that needs to happen still. So if marriage teaches you that, then that's good. Oh, that's a good part about being like, I'm like a procrastinator. So I think the only maybe positive of being a procrastinator is like when it came to dating and, well, not the same with babies, but when it came to dating stuff, like I wasn't worried about, like I wasn't scared, and I wasn't like worried about marriage. I mean, until like literally we flying to Hawaii or whatever. I'm there and it's like the day before. I'm like, oh my word, like this is actually happening. But before that, I mean, I was like, it's pretty. Yeah, this is just fun. I mean, I'm having a good time. I love this girl. I don't know.
Okay, let's do a new question. Community plays such a big role in our growth. How has being surrounded by friends your age shaped your walk with God and your marriage?
Well, yeah, community. That'll shape your marriage for sure. I mean, going to young adults, met Megan, so I mean, she was a friend, and then she wasn't. So those friends can change your life.
Become not friends?
Right.
Okay.
But yeah. Here, you go ahead there.
I mean, I can even say for you, like the guys group that you guys were meeting up with, like I saw like such a igniting like in your faith for the Lord and wanting to talk to people about Jesus and, you know, be held accountable with other men and grow in spiritual leadership. Like it was being around those guys that was bringing that up in you. So I mean, like I can see it from my side looking at you, but I don't know if you'd necessarily say that yourself. But I mean, yeah, I think it's huge because I think even the times when I don't want to say fall off, but say like get into a busier season and it's like just you and me, I think we could just feel that. Like we can feel that we need to be around people, and not just because it's like fun, but it's just, I feel like there's just something in us that's like we're just created to be with other people. Mm-hmm. And there's such wholeness, I feel like, when we're surrounded by other people and getting their perspective on things, seeing what God's doing in their life, like that encouraging us. I feel like without that godly community, you know, I feel like I'd find myself in drier seasons more often than I do being around people, because they're just constantly bringing that back to me and encouraging me, seeing what God's doing in their life, or you know, supporting us if we, well, individually or together, if there's a struggle or anything like that. I mean, even just being pregnant and being physically struggling sometimes, and emotionally, like just the fatigue that comes with that. Like I've felt so much support from our community, even if like nothing is even said. I feel like just like knowing our people are there makes such a big difference in my life. And like as a couple, I feel like we have been so encouraged by our community to just individually seek the Lord more. And
yeah, I mean, we've talked on it, I think, for our entire podcast now.
Yeah,
just
how
like the
important community
importance of biblical community.
yeah.
Just like a shoulder to lean on, or someone to help pray with you, or to help kind of like filter your thoughts and filter your prayers and filter, kind of act like as an intercessor when you feel like you can't do it alone. But I just think it's good just stressing the importance of like, even in marriage, like it's still important to have that community around you.
Yeah, it so is. Like I said, it's just, there's a wholeness when we're engaging in community. Even if we're finding ourselves like in a great spot in our marriage, it's like there's something that lacks when we're not engaging in community together.
Yeah.
So
we're all supposed to be the big C church.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I even like for us, I mean, like for me and Clay, I think it's been good, like especially recently in the past like week and a half, we've been kind of, like been good about like keeping each other accountable and just like sharing kind of more so the things that we struggle with rather than like what areas we're doing good in, kind of being a little bit more vulnerable and touching on the subjects that like, we might be struggling in.
Yeah.
Like for me, and I talked about it in the last episode a little bit, but just kind of like actually fleeing from sin has been like one of the biggest things that I've been wanting to prioritize forever. And it was very difficult for a very long time. And it, it kind of has to do with part of my testimony as to why like it's been such a huge struggle. But now, kind of like jumping into a point in my life where I'm just like, dude, I'm so over it. Like I really just want to get away from this and that. And, like just kind of keeping not only myself accountable, but, me reaching out to him and being like, hey, dude, like I'm gonna have this, I'm doing this. And like, just, want you to be like one of my accountability partners. And, even in something like that, it's like so beneficial to have, that kind of community, just like seeing how in the past week and a half, like him and I have grown in that area. So it's like, I think it's just really good. It's really good to have that walk, like with, girls and having that sisterhood and guys having that brotherhood of like, not only can you guys walk and like be together in marriage, but like in your individual relationships with the Lord, having those guys and having those girls that you can also walk with and stuff that are, gender specific. So
yeah.
All right, next question. Has there been a moment recently where God surprised you or redirected your plans in an unexpected way? Pregnancy. Just kidding.
With twins.
Yeah.
No, yeah, twins for sure. When we found out, that was crazy. The crazier part, well, almost crazier. She was like, "Oh yeah, there's a baby and a baby," and there's. I was like, "Bro, if there's 3, no."
Yeah, almost triplets there for a second.
Yeah, almost triplets. So that was almost crazy, but yeah, no, twins probably definitely the biggest one. The house, kind of crazy, but twins.
I think the biggest surprise or like redirection for me would be like work, because as soon as we figured out we're going to be moving further west and that my commute would be what it is every like hour 15, hour and a half, whatever, every day. I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. Like I made it concrete in my mind, like that's not going to work. So I need to find something else. So it was like end of summer moving forward. I'm like applying, praying, like so sure that the next move would be to not be at this job just for the Lord to keep me there and then open up the door to like go hybrid and work from home a little bit. So
Yeah.
I feel like it's exactly what I needed though. It's been such a blessing, and it's just huge redirection surprise. Like I thought for sure like the Lord would open up a door closer to home or something, but
Yeah.
not at all. So
Yeah. Answered prayer, but not exactly
Yeah.
how you thought it was.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, twins being the biggest one. I mean, that wasn't even something I never even thought about that for myself. It's just one of those things that like, there's some things you think about, something like I just never thought about it for myself.
Yeah.
Mainly because I think we don't have any in my family, so it just wasn't really on my radar as like a possibility. Boys was also surprised. I feel like the Lord, I was sensing within myself like I'm gonna be having one daughter. Like that was like Megan's intuition that I would like thought I was getting from the Lord, just for him to like completely surprise us. And I feel like even within that, I've been surprised at how excited I am now to have boys.
Yeah.
And how like honored I feel already to soon be raising 2 sons. So it's been really sweet to like, just partner with the Lord on that and like what he would say. And just break down those little feminist thought patterns that I didn't even know were there.
Yeah.
That's, but yeah, it's gonna be a fun challenge for sure to let the Lord give us the patience and wisdom to raise children. But I mean, I'm getting on a tangent now, but I just remember when we were, where were we traveling? Wisconsin, over the summer for a wedding, and kind of talking about kids, because I was maybe 10 weeks pregnant at the time. And, I'm here getting all overwhelmed about how we're going to parent, and so many different situations that come up in your mind and like how you're going to do it. And I just remember Clay being like, it's like all about following the Lord. Like the best thing we can do to prepare is follow the Lord, and the best thing we can do then is teach them to follow the Lord. And it's like everything else will fall into place truly. And so that's why God gave me him as a husband, is because I get so overthinking and all these different things, and he just knows how to like simplify it in a really good way. But yeah,
I think it's funny. I mean, for me, like I've always stopped myself of being like such a girl dad, like I definitely want to have daughters, or at least I would love, and I hope the Lord answers my prayer, but I would love for my first kid to be a girl. And it was the opposite for my sister too. Like she always wanted all boys, and then like here she is, a daughter later, you know what I mean? And so I don't know, I think it's funny. It's a way of like how the Lord likes to be a jokester of like giving you exactly what you weren't expecting for yourself. And now I'm in a position where I'm like, well, I really want a daughter, but I feel like the Lord's gonna give me a boy first. Especially knowing how I was as a kid, like just kind of being like one of those crazy kids. I was always a good, like an obedient kid. I always paid attention, but I was definitely like a hyper kid. I mean, I think the Lord's gonna throw me a curveball there, and it's funny. It's crazy.
God does something unexpected. Whatever I would envision and say like, oh yeah, I want a daughter or whatever, thinking this is the best possible outcome. This is going to be the absolute best thing. And for God to like do something else, I think it's pretty cool, because it's like him saying, whatever you think is the best, like I got something even better. And it's like, wait, what? Like how, but he does it again and again, even with like marriage and dating Clay and everything. It's like you think of something that you think is the best possible outcome, but then God just like finds a way to surprise you and make it even better. So I obviously being human, it's like things can come up like that initially can bring like hurt. Like with the boys, it's like, oh geez, God, like, do you not know me? Do you not know what I want? But then once I get past that like emotion and reorient myself, that's when the Holy Spirit's like, it actually means like I have something even better because I do know you so deeply. So it's exciting.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine better parents for twin boys.
I
Gonna be good.
could imagine better ones probably.
No. Okay. Next question. What rhythms, boundaries, or habits help anchor your marriage and your individual walks with God during changing seasons?
I think for me, like prayer is probably the biggest one. Of course, like I do notice a significant change in me too, like when I'm in the Word and when I'm not, and being able to find the practical ways for me to be in the Word. Having a longer commute to work and like making that my time to like audio listen to it, like just finding what works. And kind of like letting those rhythms change, I think is huge, so that there is consistency. But I feel like prayer for me has like always been a lifeline. And when I'm like in conversation with the Lord, sharing my heart with Him, definitely that helps ground me in every season, especially changing ones. I feel like the Lord, like just bringing like an eternal perspective to my heart is like such a grounding thing for me as well. Like when it's like things can be so ever changing and all over the place and uncertain, but it's like, yeah, that's good where you're placing your trust to. It's huge.
Yeah. You're still looking for that scripture?
Yeah, I couldn't find it. I'm sorry.
What was it?
Well, I was gonna kind of like piggyback off of like Matthew 7, but I don't know if that's like entirely, kind of like what we're talking about, but about like building your house on the rock. Matthew 7 verses 24 through 27, where it says, everyone who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell and the floods came and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall because it had been founded on the rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. And the rain fell and the floods came and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. It's kind of like what I was thinking about, but I don't know if it necessarily, I guess you can if you kind of like, through a change, I think you can kind of use that still as an example of like, especially during changing seasons, staying rooted to your faith and staying rooted to your relationship with Christ, maybe could almost like ease your who you are as a person, and stay quite literally, rooted in your faith during a changing season, whether it's individually or as a couple. It's kind of like where I was trying to go with it, but I don't know if it necessarily kind of connects in a sense.
Yeah, even what Megan said to start it off about how it's really God's word that roots you.
Yeah.
That's like exactly what that passage is talking about.
Yeah.
And he even emphasizes it's about those who hear the word and do it.
Right.
Because you can hear the word and be that like surface level believer of, yeah, I go to church, yeah, I read my Bible, but if you're not actively partaking in intimacy with God, there's like so much that you miss out on.
Yeah.
Like wash over you instead of really letting it absorb and sink into your spirit. You really just get to miss out on all that, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But okay. What's something you used to believe about adulthood or marriage that has changed as you've actually lived it out?
I think so much has changed as we've actually lived out, like, I think marriage in particular. I think the main what I used to believe is that your partner is to complete you, and kind of a self-centered version of marriage, in a way where it's really about you and about fulfilling your needs and making you, but really letting the Lord speak into that belief and align it with his, like, as we've actually lived out marriage, and just seeing the real purpose for it. That belief feels so far behind now, to where there's just the beauty is in really like our imperfections and the Lord being able to be the thing still. And it's not marriage, like you said. Like, culture can really emphasize like marriage in and of itself, but really just seeing marriage as a segue to continue walking deeper with the Lord, and have him still be the ultimate thing. That's definitely changed as we've walked throughout marriage.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when we were like engaged, like, I don't know, if there was like a problem, or like if we had an argument or something, I would think, oh, once we're married, like it's just gonna fix everything. Like,
Yeah.
oh, like everything's gonna be, once we're married, like, oh, it's just gonna be
Smooth sailing.
perfect. And it's just gonna be easy, and there's gonna be no problems, and we're just married and we just love each other so much. I mean, we do, of course, but it's, nothing changes. I mean, yeah, you got a ring now, whatever, but it's like you still are gonna go through struggles, definitely more struggles when you're married than if you're just dating or engaged. But I think just no one tells you that, oh yeah, it's gonna be so easy when you're married. Everyone says it's so hard, but you're like, no, it's gonna be so much better, so much easier. It's great. Marriage is great, but it's definitely hard sometimes, and that's okay. I mean,
I did hear that on a podcast I think I was listening to recently, from like a single Christian woman, just talking about marriage and how people might put that on marriage, like, oh, well, if I struggle with X, Y, and Z, like, once I get married, then it'll fix that.
Right.
But really, a lot of people have said it before, it's like a magnifier, and so it doesn't like solve your issues, but it definitely magnifies them and exposes them even more. But going off of what you said about like conflict, I think that is kind of another thing that we might have believed is, if conflict is happening, then that means something's wrong. And at least for me, that was part, I think, of dating and engagement, which sounds kind of stupid because it's like you're two broken people. Like, of course, conflict is going to happen. But just being, someone who just the way Hollywood paints, it can make conflict a little bit unsettling of like, ooh, is this... does this mean something is wrong, or that this is wrong?
Right.
Or is this just being two broken people trying to navigate unifying and, becoming one flesh, and the messiness that does bring with you both being sinners. And I think that is honestly a very hard part about discerning dating and engagement. Like I already mentioned with the coffee dates I had with lots of friends in similar seasons, like really needing to be dependent on the Lord in that, because there are certain situations where the Lord is probably saying, like signaling to you through conflict or something like, hey, this is not right, but it's not always the case. And so it really takes the Lord truly to help you discern that, and discern whether he's saying this or whether he's saying this is not it, and I'm asking you to leave.
Mm-hmm.
It's so important to be in tune with the Lord on that. And it's hard. Like, practically it can be very hard to figure out. But yeah, I think we've definitely learned to see conflict differently, or at least that's something that's definitely changed a lot in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And also just, even going off of that even more, like, I talked about this at your cousin's wedding, but seeing conflict not as like us against each other, but like the enemy against us, has been huge. Like, not seeing him as the opponent,
Right.
when we're in conflict, but realizing like, ooh, like, what ways is the enemy trying to wedge himself in right now?
Right.
And viewing us as the unit against the enemy, on the same team with the Lord. I was gonna say, it really helps me like want to end the conflict sooner, because when I'm seeing it as Satan against us, it's like, well, I want nothing to do with this. So, how can I let go of this pride and whatever? But it's much easier said than done.
Right.
100%.
I'm so happy you kind of touched on the subject of like Hollywood, because I was listening to a sermon not too long ago. I think it was either a sermon or a podcast. I've been really listening to a lot more of like people talk about like relationships and like what it looks like to be a man, in a relationship as, a follower of Christ and stuff like that. Just kind of preparing myself for that season for when the time does come. But like, one of the main points was like in society and in the world in general, we use Hollywood as kind of like our example of what love and what marriage looks like, when in reality we shouldn't, especially as Christians, because Hollywood has the highest divorce rates.
Yeah.
They have the highest rates of infidelity and stuff like that. And then you kind of sit back and like you realize like people of this who have like a voice, cast of who's one of my favorite actors. And, he was kind of talking about, like how he grew up, in a Christian family and stuff like that, and how that's helped him a lot in his marriage. And he's somebody who's in Hollywood, you know what I mean? And just kind of seeing how that's worked out. And, he lives in California with his wife, and, their house burnt down in the fires. What was it, a year ago when those fires were around, whenever? And him just talking about how like they, like really leaned on the Lord in that kind of situation, and how they still are, because they're struggling to find a home. And I was like, wow, like somebody with this much influence being, kind of open, a little more open about their faith, especially in a season where, the enemy would definitely try to attack your vulnerability of like losing your home and losing a lot of things of that you held a lot of value to, and how it opened their eyes to like the idolatry of their, physical objects of like, he's a big collector of the Grateful Dead t-shirts and stuff like that. And he lost majority of them during the fires, and just seeing how he was like, dude, like at the end of the day, like they're just shirts, like the most alive, who cares about all the other things in our relationship with the Lord. And I was like, wow, somebody who's in Hollywood speaking about the Lord is not normal. So it kind of really hit me. So
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up again, just touching on like you used to believe about adulthood that's changed. I remember growing up just being like terrified of growing up.
Yeah.
And especially in like I'd say like end of middle school, beginning of high school, like feeling like my world's going to end because everything's going to change. And, you're going off to college, and then you have to start your career.
Yeah.
And just being so terrified that it would mean the joy would start going away, like piece by piece, having more responsibilities. And I just have to say, like, it's been the complete opposite. And I look forward to aging and growing up and having all of these new things added into my life. And I'll say too, like, the fear that I had that all these responsibilities would cause me like a lack of joy, so much more joy, because more freedom in what I get to put my time into.
Yeah.
Right.
And just putting time into church and young adults and starting the prayer room and school, all these things that I'm passionate about, like that's where the joy comes from. And, getting to spend my free time with my friends, like our friend group is so close, and just being able to have that community and have those people to lean on, like that's something I never thought growing up I'd like look forward to. But this is like, I don't want to say like the peak, right? Because I don't want to put a ceiling on it, but it's just like only gotten better as the years go on.
Yeah.
And I never pictured that when I was younger.
Right. That fear is so real, though. The
Yeah.
unknown and just, all the change.
And even again, like the picturesque version of Hollywood and like what they
Yeah.
would tell you. But it's almost like the opposite. Like people were miserable, you know, they're working 9 to 5s and they're in crappy marriages and getting divorces. And you see all this, like, it's just so common, like in the movies and the shows. And when having that experience, any of that.
Yeah. I feel like it's like so much of where our life is spent in like the mundane and just the everyday is never what is glamorized and
100%.
like I guess like sought after and encouraged, but it's like so much of our life is spent in that. And I mean, it goes relationally, it goes like with our careers, with our friendships and family. It's like all these things are glamorized, and like Clay and I will even notice it on like shows and movies where there's all these themes of like what Hollywood likes to glamorize, especially about relationships, is like chaos and like, cheating and this and that and like whatever. And it's like such a common thing to glamorize like chaos, to where you get into like a safe relationship and it's like seen as like boring. It's like, wah, wah, you know, like
where's the toxicity?
Oh, you guys like, it's like, oh, well, you just listen to each other and, you know, take care of it. And it's like, there's like so much safety in that consistency, and that like, that is where like such deep love in life like flourishes from. But that's like not what you see.
Right.
Like that is not. And I even had like a hard time with that coming out of so much toxicity and things. I was like the adrenaline and everything, to where sometimes you enter that safety and you're like, is something wrong? Like is something wrong? Or like, am I just safe? And this is just like a new refreshing thing. But I feel like that's even something in marriage that's been like, I don't know, a surprise or, you know, something God has shown me, but, it's definitely not what you see, like, or what people, I feel like it goes in with the fears of marriage and just kind of like people being afraid of the commitment or being stuck or whatever. It's like people want the chaos, but it's like, but you don't.
Right.
Like you don't want to marry the chaotic guy. Like you don't.
Like fight or flight mechanism in our bodies, to where it's like exactly like you said, where everything's so chaotic and a relationship might be toxic, or a friendship doesn't have to be romantic, but just like something is toxic, but that feels like normal because our fight or flight is almost always activated. And so when we're finally like settled, it starts to feel scary because it's new and we've never felt that before. And I know that for me personally, I was really struggling with, am I mistaking this peace and calmness for boredom? Like, I feel bored, but is it just because I'm at peace? And I've never felt that before. And I mean, I felt that in my last relationship. And even though that relationship didn't work out, it was because, again, of like that settling, like, I'm just settling because it's peaceful. And I feel like it's kind of hard to navigate like the two of them. Of, no, I want someone to push me, but like I still need to aim for like the anxiety and the
cute. It's like it's not cute.
It's
it's really
cute.
not.
It's really not
No.
cute. Like the games and like it's really not. Like
we're too old for games.
I mean, you see it a lot. I mean, I don't know for you guys, but like especially in like Mexican culture, it's like a trend right now to like want a toxic woman, because it's like it's quote unquote fun, you know, to like have to deal with like all these things. And I'm like, dude, I would never want that. I would never want that kind of relationship where like every day it's like something new and like you're just like annoyed at like fighting and stuff like that. And like it's become such a trend of like, and I truly do believe that it's because of that, you know, like the glorification of like wanting this sort of like these issues so that you have something new to deal with every day. And I'm like,
Right.
dude, that's like, it's not the point of it, and it's sad to see, but it's like, especially like in Mexican culture, it's like such a huge trend of like wanting to be in a toxic relationship, or like, oh yeah, like Latina girls are so toxic and stuff like that. And like, I don't know, for the lack of better words, it's just like, I don't know. I don't even know where to go with it. It's just like, I don't know, dude. I would never want something like that for me or for anybody around me, to be like wanting to struggle every day in a relationship when you could have this sort of this peace and calmness, especially when your relationship is rooted in the Lord. I feel like that's just such a much better thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think probably because it's not about longevity. It's about
yeah,
right now, and like like hooking up and everything. It's not about like, oh yeah, well maybe I'll marry this person. It's just
Yeah.
just about right now. So.
And then like the longevity part of it is like joked around about so much, especially in something like that, like especially with like dating culture these days, of like, or even hookup culture. Like, you joke around with somebody's feelings, you toy around with somebody's feelings of being like, yeah, I'm ready to get married, just like, and then you're like, we're just hooking up, or like there's no commitment in that, especially in today's day and age. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what has made it different. You are, and like of that,
Yeah. I think so much of this comes from, like, culturally, we're just so misunderstood on like what love is, in terms of all the toxicity and things like that. It's like people don't know what love is, and so they think that it is, that chaos, or that high and the low, and the big fights, and then the big makeups, and like the passion, I guess, when it's like, what does God say love is? And like the sacrifice, consistency, the laying down of self for another person. And like, of course, in marriage, there's also enjoyment there. It's not just like this duty.
Right.
But I think being so misunderstood, or so being in a culture that is so confused on like what love actually is, look at a safe word, and look for that, the high and low, and think, wait, is that love? And they might not see it that way. But it like comes down to that, like what is the definition, and what do you think that looks like? And of course, Hollywood again makes it look like grand gestures, or whatever they make it out to be, when the Lord has like such a different view of it, but so much beauty there. It's like this like depth that you don't get from the world, even though it might look, I guess, like flashier, 'cause it's like, I wonder sometimes like how a show or movie would look with like a genuine Christian couple in it, and like what their marriage actually looks like, because it's just not what you see. And I feel like people would be like, really, like that, but it's like there's such a deep beauty there, and so much life and peace, and like just fruit that God brings. But confused on like what that love is
right now. Like, while you were saying that, like the enjoyment part of it, which also has to do a lot with Hollywood, but just with the way the world works these days, is like how people have glorified makeup sex, and that being like the best form of love, if you will. And I'm just like, dude, that's so annoying. Like, that's so annoying. I mean, like, especially with the way the world works now, it's like you definitely don't want something like that. So I mean, I saw you grab the mic. I'm gonna go ahead.
He's cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, in marriage, that's the thing. I mean, I think, but I mean, yeah, I know what you're saying. But I mean, that's the thing that that God has given us. I mean, that's a unifier. So I mean, that phrase, makeup sex, I think that's real.
Yeah, I mean, I
It's a real
could.
thing.
I think.
Put in
I think in the,
parentheses for married couples.
yeah,
Amen.
exactly. Like
Yes,
the
married.
I think when you think of these things like in marriage, it's much more different of like thinking of just like when you're dating somebody of it like this is the perfect form of love. Like no, it's definitely not. I'm sure that in marriage, like obviously we get that opportunity to, the blessing of having sex with your partner, your lifelong partner, is much more beautiful than being like, oh yeah, like I don't even know if I'm gonna marry this girl, but yeah, like sex is one thing and like it's so enjoyable and this and that, and I'm just like, that's probably not what it is. Like it's definitely there's the beauty aspect of it in like in the biblical context of sex, and like in whatever context of it biblically, is just like the beauty is there. Like the beauty of it is there, whereas when it's not in a biblical context, it's like, what's beautiful about it? Other than the enjoyment of your flesh. Like, yeah, your flesh is enjoying it, I'm sure, but like, what about your spirit? Like the spirit and the true form of love, in a marriage point of view, is like much more real, if you will. So.
What's one area of your, even if it didn't unfold how you imagined?
I mean, for me, I don't know about Megan, but it's something I worry about, or something that's on my mind more than her, I think. But just like when it comes to money and finances, like it's pretty crazy how faithful he can be in that way. I mean, before I got married, I wasn't consistently tithing. But then since we've gotten married, it's been something we agree, like, yeah, this is what we'll do, X amount, whatever a month. But then like with the house and now the kids coming, it's like, oh man, like I feel like it's gonna get tight, and like maternity leave for Megan, we don't know how that's gonna go. But just God has been so faithful. Like I think giving me just a to make money on the side when I can, those things. So I mean, like if it were just up to me, I mean, he has to put those things in front of me in order to be able to make money, whatever. But that's been the biggest thing. I think I need to be more intentional about being more thankful for that and thanking him, and being more prayerful about, God, please help me to continue to do this well. But that's the biggest thing for me. How about you, wife?
I'm just kind of looking at the first part of the question, like where am I clearly seeing God's faithfulness? Well, even if it didn't unfold. I mean, the biggest way I'm seeing God's faithfulness is like in the health of our babies. I feel like, like what I was just talking about with Shay, to grow healthily every time we get an ultrasound and just see them growing more, and just God's faithfulness in that. I mean, it didn't unfold in the way I imagined in terms of like having twins and stuff, but I feel like that's just such an evident way I'm seeing God's faithfulness every single day.
Yeah.
It's just that he's doing it, because it's like, it's the craziest thing to, me just get up and go to work and, take my vitamins, go to bed, whatever. But like getting ultrasounds of these like full on humans that are forming within me, like that I want to say I have nothing to do with, in the sense that, okay, yes, I can take my vitamins, I can, go on a walk and things like that to try and take care of myself. But it's like, ultimately, like I'm doing nothing to make this happen. And it's wild, and it is literally just all of God's faithfulness bringing it to pass. And it's crazy how much it takes to make it happen. And I'm just amazed that he's continued to do it, faithfully bringing us through a moment. And I feel like that's been a huge way that he's been so faithful is just, you know, within our relationship and what he's done in our hearts. I think I was just talking to you about this maybe, but you know, it's like we're so undeserving of everything that he's brought to pass in our life, and are so imperfect and, you know, ungrateful at times, or just, you know, we're not perfect people. And so it's just, it brings us in so much awe, like just seeing God's true faithfulness to us when we quite literally have not deserved anything good that he's brought to pass in our lives, but just being overwhelmed by all that he has done for us.
Yeah, just like the way the Lord like truly over delivers, you know, especially like on answered prayers. I mean, we were just talking about this like maybe a few episodes ago about like, you know, kind of like myself in this context, and like stay obedient to whatever it is, to ministry, you know, of like becoming a pastor. And now I'm kind of seeing that, like, I'm kind of understanding more of like the obedience part of it. And like maybe it wasn't so much of like going into ministry as a pastor, but this being my ministry, you know, the podcast and stuff like that, and being able to spread the word at my job. And then, you know, all the answered prayers where I'm like, I have a hard time accepting, you know, all these answered prayers, especially with something like huge like the truck, you know, which is something that I had been praying for almost like 7 or 8 years, you know, like this is truly my dream truck. And for it to kind of like, I don't really care, like it was never about how long it was gonna take. And then like now that my prayer was answered, I'm like, what have I done to deserve something so good from the Lord? You know, and like I think that's where I kind of struggle with, but I definitely see you know, like his faithfulness, like me staying so faithful to him ever since I, you know, like got saved and stuff like that. It's like everything is playing exactly how I'm starting to plan, and how important like staying in obedience has been, especially for something like this, you know, and just like the over deliverance. I'm like, I get so overwhelmed with like the joy in being in the Lord and just stuff like that. I mean, like it's hard, but it's like, wow. I'm like, I don't know how you can't really see the deserving aspect of it. You know what I mean? Because like truly, like we aren't deserving of stuff like this, but you know, he sees us as people who are deserving of stuff. So
it reminds me of the scripture in James, every good and perfect gift is from above. And just how kind of Clay was saying earlier, how all of this has happened because of the trust that the Lord had in us. And I just think it's so cool when you actually put that into remembrance and just kind of take a look at everything that you have in your life and kind of take stock of all the gifts and blessings that you have around you, and just remember like anything outside in his goodness. And I'm struggling through school, like just feeling the overflow and the blessings that are already coming from it. And I mean, the prayer room that I've been praying over for so long, and just seeing it all like unfold is just like, it just always like sparks new joy right when you need it. And I think it's always God in his perfect timing. Like, it's always right when you need it. I feel like.
I feel like the Lord really brought the prayer room, like, I don't know, just right at the perfect time, like amongst this transition. And I don't know, it being able to attend this last week, it was just like, oh, this is so needed. Like, you know, it felt so so satisfying in that way of like, like this is a space that we need here, just to be in the quiet. And you know, we have so much fun like in that ministry and lots of engagement with each other and everything, but it's like the balance of also the reflecting, like truly, and like the perfect timing. So I'm excited to see what he does with it.
I have big dreams and big prayers over it. So I'm excited to see how he continues to move. For sure. All right. What has this season taught you about relying on each other's strengths rather than trying to carry everything alone?
I think for me,
I feel like I have no strengths for you to rely on right now. I'm just a weak little vessel.
it's okay. It's okay. You have plenty of strengths. Well, I think for me, I think the biggest thing, your biggest strength, I think, is your faith.
Yeah.
And that has taught me, like, to rely on God more through what I see in you. And not just to try and, like, carry everything by myself, but, like, relying on, just, I know that's not relying on your strengths, but it's just, I feel like that's the biggest thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, ultimately, my strengths and giftings shouldn't just lead you ultimately to me. They should lead you ultimately to the Lord.
Perfect. Well, then we got it down.
Hit the nail on the head on that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, I like that you say that, because I feel like such a big prayer of mine, like, over my future husband.
Future husband.
Yeah, like when I would pray for you.
Yeah.
When she was
clarify.
single. Yeah,
When I was
she
single and I would
There
pray
we
for
go.
my
There we
future
go.
husband,
Not yesterday.
who I'm now saying is you.
Okay, perfect.
No. Was that I feel like the Lord had taught me so much beauty in being dependent on him, and seeing men struggle with that, I feel like, more than women, like the dependency aspect and being okay being weak and being dependent. Like, that was something that I would often, like, pray over my future, that is a good. You want to acknowledge your flaws and see those as segues to the Lord, and not as, like, just pitfalls and, oh, I'm not strong and so that's terrible. But, like, so it's cool that you say that. But can I look at the question again? What has this season taught you about relying on each other's strengths other than trying to carry everything alone? Well, I feel like I've quite physically had to be honest.
Yeah.
Just, like, navigating, pregnancy and working full time, like, just the energy levels and trying to balance that with just all the normal things of life. But I think especially, again, like, in this season, the Lord has, like, really highlighted to me the holiness and how he's wired Clay to be so lighthearted. And yeah, I mean, this feels so heavy to me, whether it's or something I'm trying to navigate through with the Lord. Like, things can just easily feel very heavy to me, being, like, emotionally led, and feel like my emotions just can get so big so fast. And the way of Clay being wired and gifted to just kind of, like, see past that sometimes and make light of it, simplify it. Like, I feel like God has just really shown me lately, like, it's like the holiest thing he could have done for me is, like, given me a husband like him. Whereas, before being married, I thought the best thing for me would be, like, someone else who was, like, type A like me, like, really detail oriented, like,
A little taller, maybe, or something.
no. But I get just someone wired, I guess, more like me, which is pretty selfish. But I mean, we can be similar in some ways, but in other times where I think previously I might have gotten, like, frustrated with your lightheartedness, or, like, come on, like, you need to take this seriously, or, like, lock in or whatever. It's like that would ultimately, like, crush me if I, like, had a partner who was as hard on me as I am on myself, and, like, as someone who, like, struggles with performance like me, like, that would literally crush me. And so I feel like Clay just has such a strength in that, like, in the joy of the Lord, and it's such a blessing to me.
don't want to like touch on this too much because I know that it can be like a controversial topic, but on one of the podcasts I was listening to kind of about relationships was how even just like scientifically, like men tend to be more logically driven and women are more emotionally driven. Which in a sense I kind of feel like you know, like it's like it's true, you know, to a certain extent. And when you look for a partner, you know, when you're looking for your wife, you know, you kind of almost want her to be strong in the areas where you may lack in a sense. Because that's kind of the whole point of the partnership. That's the whole point of the teamwork aspect of it, is being able to not only rely on one another in those areas where one may not be stronger in, but also the dependency of having that dependency of the Lord, you know, and just depending on the Lord to work in you. If you're the person that's like not as strong in this subject, your partner helps you. What's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say like almost like teaches you how to be better in that aspect, but it almost like leads you to understand more as to how to depend on the Lord in this certain area. Whereas like for some people, where it's like, I don't know, maybe it could be like patience. Maybe it could be, you know, like my biggest thing. Oh, sorry, I wasn't done. No. You know, kind of like how you were saying, like you guys aren't necessarily like super alike. And I think that kind of also brings so much strength into a relationship where you're, you know, it can be selfish to kind of want someone who's exactly like you, or like my best friend and this and that. Like you could still be polar opposites and still be able to like, that's my wife, even though she's the exact opposite of me, or whatever the case may be. Like, and not sharing, for an example, like similar interests is not a bad thing. You know, like, I don't know, maybe watching football, you know, like, you know, something simple as that. Like,
she loves football.
Go Birds.
Maybe, maybe now, you know.
She's been trained.
But it's like, there's beauty also in that, you know what I mean? So.
I was going to say, it reminded me of something Megan brought up earlier with probably seeing a flaw in someone and trying to kind of ride that line of, is it just a flaw and we can work past it, or is it a no? Selfishness of like, I have it. It kind of requires you to take a step back and look at it in a bigger picture and say, you know, I think it might be a flaw, but I am starting to learn it's actually a tool in which the Lord is allowing us to sanctify each other. And it's kind of like that process of figuring out like what's what. But it just reminded me of when you said that, because I feel like it's kind of exactly what that is.
No, yeah, definitely, because it's like so many of the things that we might get frustrated with is like exactly what we're needing and exactly what is sanctifying us. And I think like a pretty good I don't want to say like test, but like indicator in that discernment for people listening is like looking for fruit. Like if you're looking at the flaw and like, does this bring destruction, or does this actually like bring fruit at the end of it, even if it's hard? That was something that I kind of thought through a lot in our dating and engagement, was like, you know, is this, or is it breeding life that are uncomfortable? But yeah, we were just laughing when Luis brought up like being logically driven or emotionally driven, just because it's something that's so relevant. Like,
yeah, I'm very emotional.
And I'm very logical.
Just kidding.
It makes it genuinely so hard sometimes to communicate when someone is coming at it from one angle and the other person's coming at it from another angle. Because you can essentially be saying a lot of the same things, but like it's like,
it's all about the blue sunglasses, pink sunglasses.
Yeah, what book was that in? We read some book before getting married, and it used an analogy of like the woman wears pink sunglasses and pink hearing aids, and the man wears like blue sunglasses and blue hearing aids. So like even if I'm saying something
right
that I think it means something, I'm like using a pink microphone and he has blue hearing aids. And so it's like,
Right.
it sometimes still just doesn't get across. Lightheartedness, I'm talking about being logically driven, because in times where like my emotions are completely trumping any logic and it gets too overwhelming, too heavy, whatever, it's like, it's your logic driven brain along with your lighthearted personality that's like able to look past it and like through the emotion that I can't see past in that moment. But it's also the thing that like frustrates me more than anything else when I'm like, can you just see this the way I'm seeing it?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. It's fun to figure out.
Yeah. All right. This is going to be our final question. As you prepare for your next chapter, including the babies, what has God shown you about trust and partnership in this season?
Go ahead. Was lately, I feel like God's been, reminding me of the importance of seeing the best in each other and assuming the best of each other. Because it's like, again, I think that is something we brought up in our vows, is like, that's something we want to be dedicated to each other to, is we have earned each other's trust, and we are now in this trust love relationship to where, while it's very like easy to, at least for me, and maybe it has some past hurts involved where it's very easy to like want to assume the worst so that maybe I don't get disappointed, or I want to, just kind of self-preserve in a way. Probably is where it's coming from. I don't know. But just like assume the worst and not assume the best. And so I feel like, but that completely wants to teach me that like I can trust Clay and I can assume well of him and I can see the best in him. And it's come up, in multiple conflicts where I might feel a certain way, or because of my emotions, it makes me think something's true. And Clay's like, no, not at all. Like, I did not, mean to do that to hurt you at all, or I was not intentionally seeking to upset you or whatever. When from my point of view, it might seem that way. So I feel like God's been teaching me a lot about that. Like in this relationship, like you are safe to assume well of him. And that will in turn build so much trust and partnership between the two of you, where like it's very easy and what's the word I'm looking for? Not explainable. It's like wanting to assume the worst, but I didn't.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, it can just be easy to do that. I think for me, it's a form of like self-guarding, to where it's like, I don't want him to hurt me, so I'm just going to assume like the worst and whatever, so that it's not like a surprise or anything, or I'm not disappointed. But yeah, I feel like that's the first thing that came to my head. Because I feel like we're going to really need that, like as parents, assuming the best in one another and seeing the best in one another.
Yeah, I agree. I think God has shown me, I guess mainly that I can trust you. I mean, we haven't known each other that long.
I'm glad you touched on that, because I'm
not that long. But I feel like
There's a lot to learn.
Yeah, there's still a lot to learn, I guess, about each other. But I guess he's shown me that, I mean, just with your personality and how sweet you are and everything, that like I can trust you. Like I can definitely trust you, especially with, like you were saying, the twins. Like, I trust so much that you're going to be a great mom to them and that you're going to raise them right. And that even though there's so many things we're going to have to go through, like, well, one thing kind of talked about, like discipline. We kind of have different opinions. But I trust. Hold on.
Safe parenting.
Yeah, I don't know. I do trust that the kids will turn out fine, under how you parent, even though it's the wrong way. But no, I'm just kidding.
Gentle parenting. That's
Yeah, she's in the gentle parenting boat right now, but
Right now.
we're gonna convert to spanking pretty soon.
Hey, we all turned out fine.
But I think for the partnership, just like, I want to make sure to put her first when the kids pop out,
Okay.
But just always make sure, I mean, not like to just keep her as a priority and not
Right.
like she gets lost in the long list of to-dos and everything, but that I always am putting her first, which will grow our partnership.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like we've talked a lot about that, like viewing our kids in light of like us being the foundation first and not
Right.
being parents that would reorder that, as you see very often, people very commonly
Yeah.
will do that. And I think that comes from kind of what I was touching on earlier of different fears people have with kids, and one of them being like, well, it's going to ruin your marriage. First of all, it's going to ruin this, but it's like it doesn't give it that power if you, with us being intentional to not side with the kids and prioritize them like over one another. Like, I think it can be such a blessing, and I feel like we've kind of focused on that a little bit in this season. Just like, I guess there's not really a way for us to like practice necessarily, but just being mindful of that and like pouring into each other intentionally right now and making sure to continue that, and just being intentional to I feel like practically what that looks like is like making time to like date each other and just like have fun together and have hard conversations together, like find intentional ways to serve each other throughout the day, small and big. But yeah, I feel like very safe in that, and not like fearful or worried that like attention and energy foundation of putting our marriage first and knowing that that ultimately will bless the kids, because of course that might like sound bad to some people, like, oh, you don't care about your kids, but it's like ultimately us prioritizing each other is for not only our sake but for their sake too.
Right.
So
Yeah, I kind of wanted to touch on the fact that like Clay mentioned like maybe you guys don't really have that much time knowing each other, and like maybe hopping into marriage like not knowing a lot about each other, which like when you look at it in a biblical context, like there is no teaching or anything about dating. Like it's not so much so about like the dating aspect is kind of something that you don't necessarily have to do until you know everything about each other, then you get married. It's not really what it's about. And I was kind of listening to this guy talk about like his marriage and like how he didn't date anybody prior to like knowing her. He was like, I maybe knew like and in a biblical context, it's almost like that's kind of the enjoyment about getting married from a biblical standpoint, is you learn more and more and more as the years go by in your marriage. You learn more about your partner, and that's truly the beauty of it, right? And kind of like, because I mean, like, society today like has ruined that, like, oh, you have to know everything about your partner before you hop into a marriage, where it's like it's not necessarily true. Or like you have to date for 10 years before you get married, and like it's not true. Like there's
really make sure.
yeah
Or-
obviously, you know,
or
like
be married for 5 years before you have kids or whatever.
you know,
Have
like
that.
there's no timeline to these sorts of
Right.
things. And like the one thing that you know, which I had no idea about, I've never dated in a Christian context, you know, per se, but like you know, kind of feeling okay with the knowing of like, well, I don't, you know, it's more biblical to get married. You know, like that's kind of the whole point. Like, I don't have to know everything about my partner before I marry this person, because in reality, the most important thing that you have to know about your partner is where they are with the Lord. Is the Lord something, the meat of it? You know, like that's what you're supposed to know, and how they navigate through things. And then through marriage is when you start learning truly like how you guys navigate together, and X, Y, and Z, and stuff like that. And kind of put like an ease to you know, me kind of searching for a wife and stuff like that, and kind of looking for my future wife. So like kind of seeing that's kind of like how it transpired for you guys, is like it's even more ease having somebody around me who, like, you saying that you didn't really know her, and you guys have known each other for a kind of like in a long-term aspect, like a little bit of time.
Right.
It really eases me to know that, like, oh wow, I have people around me that are kind of like exactly what that guy was talking about, who I have no idea who he is. It was just a YouTube video that I picked about like dating and as a Christian. So
Yeah.
I would have never thought. Like, if someone told me, yeah, you're going to be engaged after 6 months of knowing this person, and you're also going to be pregnant within 6 months of being married, it's like, that's because it's honest. It is so true. And like, I think that's what spurred on so much of my relationship anxiety, or like, oh, like, are we there yet? Like, can we get married yet? Because it was like, I feel like my spirit and like the Lord was leading us there, and like giving that ease and everything. But then the concern and the fear and everything coming in of like what the world would say and put on it, was like, well, I don't know this person inside and out, and you know, whatever, when it's like, that's not what the Lord's concerned about. And like, I felt like the Lord was leading us to that place. I feel like God was like putting in my heart, like, I have work for you guys to do together. And it's like I said, it's, if you guys are going to glorify me more together than apart, like, why delay it, was kind of but that was just personally where I'd come from, you know, dating for years and years and years and years and years, and that being like some, like, what I had done before, and then being on the other side of it and being like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. From where I knew what I'd wanted, and I know Clay felt confident in what he was looking for as well. And like, a very beautiful part too about like the male female dynamic that the Lord creates is like, the man creates so much safety for the woman, like in how he's responding and leading. Like, Clay's confidence gave me confidence, and like Clay's clarity and vision gave me clarity and vision. And it's like, I felt confident under his headship, even in times when I was feeling scared, or like, you know, are we ready for this sort of thing?
Yeah, even when she tries to break up with you, you know, like, just don't let her.
I've never tried to break up with you. I tried to friend zone you, maybe.
Okay.
Look how well that worked out.
I think the point is not, okay, now go find someone, date them for a week, and then get engaged and marry, and then have a kid, whatever. Like, you do your vetting process and like find the person that complements you well, whatever. But I mean, it's the one that God has for you. It's just like a no-brainer. It's so simple. And yeah, I mean, he just makes, when he makes it so easy, it's like, yeah, like Megan was saying, like, why are we going to delay this? Because culture's saying, oh yeah, we need to know each other physically before we need to date for however many years.
See how we live together.
Right. Test it out, whatever. But yeah, I think it's just so clear when it is that right person God has for you.
And I feel like the beautiful part about God's design for it is that you meet that person and he makes it evident that it's your person, but then he wants you to go through the navigating and the trials under the covenant,
Right.
not out of the covenant.
Right.
And so while the world would push and say, navigate it all right now, figure it out where you're dating, live together, well, you're not under covenant. Like the Lord is purposeful in saying like that is to be like the Lord just wants to to have his design the way that it is, because the navigating and so many of the trials and everything, it comes under the covenant, it comes under that protection, and under the blessing of marriage. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's like, are you waiting for it to be perfect when you get married?
Right.
Because it's never gonna happen. I mean, it should get easier, but you're never gonna be like, all right, we're just perfect for each other now and it's time, but it's not.
Right. Easier in the sense that you learn how to navigate it, and you learn more about how that person's wired and how to navigate the conflict and everything. But yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to touch on, kind of just going back for like kind of the people who are listening to this episode and like may not feel so much like what's the word I'm looking for, like confidence and wanting. This is to I will make him a helper fit for him. So that kind of just being like very very in the obviously like in the beginning of the Bible. I don't know, maybe for somebody who's just now getting into reading the word and stuff like that, it just goes to show really how truly how much of a blessing marriage is. And why you should almost like desire marriage, desire a partner. Even I mean there's a lady, I don't remember her name, but she was talking about how the Lord called her into singleness for the rest of her life, and she's like 70 something years old, and she goes to a lot of these conferences and stuff like that. But she talks about like she had always desired her entire life to like be married and have kids and stuff like that, and maybe we see that as like, wow, that's so sad, but she was so obedient in knowing that the Lord was calling her in like solidarity, and just single and obviously desire to want to be married. If anything, you should be praying for these things. So just kind of a little bit of encouragement. So
It also reminds me too, it's written multiple times in Song of Solomon, do not stir up or awaken love until it pleases. And just kind of that reminder of like, it's not our job to like go out and seek something and try to make it work no matter what. Like love becomes awakened when it's in God's timing. And no amount of manufacturing can produce love. As we've already said in the first episode of this season regarding the fruit of the Spirit love, like it's only a byproduct by being with the Holy Spirit. We can't just like manufacture and make love work until it's God's will and it's God's plan to like let that happen.
Yeah.
Right.
But it does take intention.
It does.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. You got to make the move.
Yeah, you say that because that's what every episode said, was like you should have that confidence and like you need to put yourself out there. Yeah. Because how else are you supposed to find your partner? And it was like even encouraging for, obviously it was two guys talking, but they were like but it should be encouraging even for women who are listening, like that if you are attracted to somebody, like it doesn't, like the guy doesn't necessarily have to make the first move. Like it should be encouraging for a girl to, maybe you're attracted to this guy and you don't know if he's into you or whatever. Like if you make that first move, then you'll know, and it's like the same thing for guys. I mean, we grew up knowing that like, it's more traditional for the guy to make the first move and, whatever. But what if the guy's scared?
Megan proposed to me. She got down on one knee and said, yeah, sure, dude.
But
let's do this thing.
That did not happen.
No, but it's like, it's so true. You know, like it's a, you know, I've kind of understood that more. I mean, I talk about it all the time, like, especially, I mean, I definitely say it as a joke, but it's almost like I'm not joking, or like of being scared of women, you know, or like approaching a girl. I was so scared of what rejection would go the way that the Lord wants it to go, regardless, even if it's not the way I wanted it to. It's because the blessing that He has for me is something that either I'm not prepared for, or this just isn't the person that is that quote unquote blessing. So, yeah.
I think that's it for today's episode.
Is it?
Yeah.
Just kidding. All right.
Should we record
so
for another
good.
like 2-3 hours?
No. No. I absolutely
Make it an
not.
overnight.
Yeah.
No.
Just snoring.
Yeah.
Listen to the Thor
Oh, yeah.
meowing all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Alrighty.
That's gonna be
for
it.
having us
Well, thank you
Yeah.
guys for
Yeah. It's
on
fun.
agreeing
Big,
to
big
be on
thank
here.
you.
and
It's just we'll take cash. For
Yeah.
the payment.
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
quick question at the end here for you to
Mhm.
fill out.
Quick souvenir.
Like the tip screen, like quick question
Just a quick question for
for
you.
you at the end of this podcast.
He's
I don't know what
clueless.
you're talking about.
The tip, like at Dutch Bros, would
The
be like,
tip
okay,
screen.
just a quick
Yeah.
question for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's what I said is coming at the end
that
of
was a
this
pull
podcast.
right there.
Yeah. Anyways.
Anyways,
Follow us on Instagram at the table pod. If you are listening and you're not following us or subscribed to us, make sure you do that. It just helps with the what's the word I'm looking for? With the algorithm, you know, it puts us out there. The whole goal and purpose of this podcast is to reach more people who may already be in their faith or may not, and you know, maybe they don't have the confidence to kind of talk about the topics that we talk about, and that's kind of the whole premise of this, and just wanting the Lord to, you know, reach more and more people is the ultimate goal. Like I said before, we don't care about money, we don't care about compensation. That's not what this podcast is about. It's just for us to give a space for you know, specifically young adults, but even if we're reaching out to you and you're, you know, in youth or a grown person, you know, like you know, 50 and above,
Yeah, no
or
matter
whatever.
the age.
Yeah, it's that's kind of the whole sole purpose of this, and for the Holy Spirit and the Lord to guide us in these conversations.
We will save you a seat for next time. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.